And hola mola cola. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another art stream. That's right, we make art Wednesdays. And yeah, Tyra Tiffy out here. Digital illustrator and webcomic author, if you didn't know. Yeah, that's right. I have a webcomic. It's called Reborn Daughter. You can read it for free on Webtoon Canvas. You just got to make an account. It is rated for young adults though, so you have to be at least 16 years old or older to read this comic. It is a drama romance story about a young man who discovers he's going to have a future daughter. And we spend a lot of the story trying to figure out who that mother is going to be. So that sounds like something you would be interested in. Go ahead and give the read a Webtoon Canvas. So far, it's the only platform I have it on. And yeah, let me know what you think. Also, for those of you not on Twitch, if you are on YouTube, check me out at my video game channel on Mondays. I do have a video game channel where, we're just chilling and playing video games. So currently in rotation right now, I am playing the Sonic Frontiers DLC. We also get a little bit of Mario Party in there and a lot of Pokemon stuff, Pokemon Unite, TCG Live. So if that sounds like some stuff you want to jump in and be a part of, come check me out on Tyra Tiffy Out Games if you are on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, then you get the best of both worlds. I don't have to split it up for the Twitch channel. So then there's that. Okay, so yeah, so what are we gonna do today? Well, recently, something that so as I've spoken about before in my streams, right? When you're drawing, you want to draw and you want to be thinking about what you're drawing, right? You have like a mental image or an idea of how all these shapes are coming together, right? So something that has been blanking out in my mind recently is arms. I've just gotten so used to drawing these, why is my pencil here? Yeah, I just got so used to just drawing cylinders for arms, right? As I'm like drawing torsos and stuff, that I just kind of, now when I draw these arms, it's just two cylinders. And I just forgot how these muscle groups are. Like at a certain point, I really studied this and I had a really good understanding of where all the muscles are. But lately, it's been blank. I just draw the two cylinders and I just kind of forget. Yeah, like wait, what were all the muscles involved with the arms? So, I've been putting it off, but I've been meaning to practice this, and I just figured, well, considering the type of nature that this channel is, why not just do it on stream, right? So let's do it together. So for those of you who are struggling to draw arms, or you have no idea what the breakdown of the arm would be or how to approach it, maybe you want to sit down and just, watch this stream, right? And hopefully you learn something. And if you do, you can always share the video or you can hit the like button to let me know that this was helpful to you. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up the playlist. So we will start hearing some, chill music in the background. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing some arms. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's start off with drawing those cylinders, right? And then we'll draw a circle because we know that the cylinder will move, right? And now, if memory serves, the length of the forearm is pretty much the same as the length of the deltoid, right? And the biceps and triceps. So that's something to keep in mind, right? We're going to kind of make these sizes very similar in terms of like what the proportion is. And then the hand, I believe, is about like a third of the way of the forearm. So then the hands, and then we're gonna take half of it because that's where the palm is. So if I open up my hand, your fingers are about half, right? And that's not, and let's keep in mind there is webbing, okay? So your knuckles are here, but in the front of your hand there's webbing. So we gotta take account for that small little part of the front of your hand. So you know, and you can go ahead and pull out your hand right now and take a look. If you closed your hand into a fist, right? If you closed your hand into a fist, you're gonna see your knuckles on the top, right? But if you open up your hand, right, your knuckles are still there, but if you look at the front, there's like this pad of fat that goes past your knuckles on your palm. And then when you spread your hands open, right, that pad in the front creates this web between your fingers, and then the web comes down like a triangle, dividing your knuckles. Okay, I really hope you picked up your hand and you know, follow the instructions there and observe that. Okay, that's very big to observe when you're drawing hands. A lot of people tell me hands, you know, the common thing that I hear whenever I tell people that I'm an artist, they always like to say, oh yeah, yo, I heard it's like a big struggle to draw hands, so you must struggle to draw hands, right? And it's just kind of like, you know, after doing this for a while, hands just kind of like, I can agree that it is a struggle to draw hands, right? At least at the beginning. But once you start breaking all this stuff down and you start learning how the body is constructed and you understand, you know, these things that I talk about, like, oh yeah, you know, your knuckles is the halfway point to your hand, but just remember there's the webbing in the front, right? So then you're going to take a little bit of that space, and then there's, you know, you're going to create those webs for the fingers, but then, you know, the fingers start from the knuckles, and then halfway those fingers, you got like the first bone, and then you also kind of want to divide the other bone in half as well, and then you got your fingers, and you know, these are the other knuckles when you break down your fingers. Now, and again, you got to remember the webbing, because this is very key, because we're starting from the knuckle, we're creating a finger, and then cut that finger in half, and you're gonna get the half point of your finger, and then you cut the second part of your finger in half, and then you got the other two joints. But when we look at the webbing here, and I'm gonna do it in red, when we look at the webbing here, if we outline it, it doesn't look like that bone is half, you know, because that bone we talked about, you do half of the finger. We don't see most of this bone because of all the skin and muscles that are surrounding it. So if you're going to, and I'm saying this because when I learned this is what I was confused about. Okay, I would often draw the hand and be like, okay, it's half the knuckle, right? And then I'm gonna cut it here, and then, you know, I got this finger, but then I can cut it here, and I can take the finger down. But then, you know, I draw it as if this is the webbing, and then suddenly these fingers look way too long, and it just looks wrong, right? But then I just forgot, oh wait, there's like all of this webbing and padding, you know, fat padding in between the fingers when you close it. So then, you know, even though the knuckle is all the way over here, I gotta keep that in mind when I'm drawing all this stuff. Okay, and then we got and that would be the pinky, which is like what, the smallest finger, right? Yeah, so anyways, so yeah, keep that stuff in mind. All right, so let me go ahead and delete all this because I went off on a tangent there, but I felt like that would be very valuable especially for beginners, because this is typically, you know, that's the hurdle there. When it comes to drawing hands, I think the only reason why drawing hands are hard is because we don't think about that webbing in front of the fingers, right? And then when we look up tutorial videos, you know, artists will just tell you, yeah, dude, it's just knuckles are in the middle, and then the hands are half, and then, you know, the thumb is over here, and then that's it, man. You drew a hand. Practice that, you know, and they leave out, you know, a lot of information is left out, and then you're just stuck struggling drawing this, you know, these messed up hands over and over. Like, you know, I listened, and you did listen. You listened very well, and you followed the instructions, but there was just a lot of missing information that's in between that would have helped you visualize these things a lot better. So yeah, so you know, that's for you for sticking around at the beginning, right? And if you're watching like the pre-recorded video on YouTube, just take a look into the description. There are going to be timestamps if you want to skip ahead and look at specific parts, right, of what I'm talking about. Like, you know, if this whole hands thing wasn't helpful to you, you know how to draw hands, but you're kind of more focused about, like, you know, the muscles in the arm, which I'm going to talk about later, and you can just skip to that part, you know, on the timestamps. And I typically have timestamps on most of my videos, so be on the lookout for that if you're looking at a previous video of something that I drew before. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so yeah, so we know where the hand is. Now let's put some muscles. No, sorry, before muscle is bone. Okay, we're gonna put some bone. So I'm gonna make this bone here, and we're gonna take, and you know, forgive me for not being scientific and remembering the name of every bone, because I always forget. You know, obviously, you know, we're not doctors, right? So I don't think it's that important. But I mean, if you want to know, if you want to set yourself apart from the rest, yeah, you can learn the names of these bones. But I know that, you know, we have the ball socket here, right, for our shoulder, which is connected to the clavicle bone, which I studied it so much I should know this name by heart. But you know, and the bone just kind of actually sits on top of that, right? That way, if I'm remembering that correctly. You know, and then but behind it is the shoulder blade, right? And then this bone comes out and it gets really wide here, which is why your elbow gets, well, I don't want to say your elbow gets wide because you have all the muscles on top of it. So it depends on how built you are. You know, if you're jacked, then you probably got these big bumps and this elbow is tiny to you. But if you're like very skinny, then, you know, maybe your bumps are up here and then it just gets wide over here. But anyways, but no, yeah, your bone gets really fat over here in the elbow area, and then you get these two bones over here, and they you know, they kind of come out like that. You know, everybody's, y'all see a skeleton, you know, spooky skeleton. And I'm trying to remember which one is wider. I think the one near your thumb is the wider one, and the smaller one, which kind of protrudes out a bit, is the smaller one. And I should be looking stuff up as I do this, but yeah, this should be the case here. Okay, and now now the hand is a whole bunch of bones. We're just gonna ignore the hand. We don't really know. Yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. Okay. Whew. So let's look at some muscle. Okay, so deltoid. Usually where I like to start first. And that's this, I don't even know what kind of shape to call it, but you know, it's pretty round. It's your shoulder, right? Even though the socket is here, you know, this is a pretty big muscle. And you know, it's gonna divide into 3 parts, right? Now, these 3 parts are only important if you're going to draw a muscular person, right? Like if I'm drawing a Dragon Ball Z character, right? It's like, all right, we see this clavicle, and then there's this bump here, and they're charging up, and we're gonna draw all of their muscles, right? Which I think I can do this, yeah. You know, and then, you know, you got all these big bumps, right? And that's like a typical Dragon Ball Z character's deltoid, because Akira has always drawn these bumps on their deltoids. So you know, if that's what you're doing, then yeah, you definitely want to remember all of these nooks and crannies. But if you're just drawing like a regular person that just goes to school, their shoulder probably just looks like this, right? And you know, they don't have these indents here. But yeah, let's move on. We're gonna draw the bicep. So just remember, guys, it's called the bicep because the word bi is equal to 2, right? So this is a muscle that can split into 2 in the center here. Okay. And then it connects here. And then we've got a muscle that comes out of here and it goes into the forearm. And this is kind of how we create that that inner part of your elbow. But behind this is your triceps. Which, you know, I've been putting in a lot of tricep workouts, so like, you know, my triceps are looking a little bulgy here, IRL. But anyways, yeah, so we got that, and then, you know, that edge of that elbow bone kind of protrudes here because, you know, all the muscles are out here, right? But then, you know, the forearm has a muscle that goes under and over this bone that is up to your pinky, which is kind of why your pinky bone kind of protrudes. Kinda. Okay. It just kind of comes out by itself, but yeah. So next we've got the hand. Now the hand has a muscle on both sides, on the palm, the palm. So it gets a little, you know, off of the wrist, right? You know, like if you draw a hand, it should not be straight from the wrist into the fingers, right? Like I have it here, right? You gotta put a bump here on the pinky side, and then there's the big bump on the thumb side, because, you know, we got those thumbs. Then you can create those thumbs. Ooh. Okay. You know, and again, now for the height of the fingers, I'm gonna go ahead and create this triangle, right? Okay, so we have the halfway point here. So I can break down the finger. This is about the halfway point here. I'm gonna break it down like that. And then of course I did not forget about the webbing in the front. So we're going to connect all the fingers like that. And there we go. So now let's take the spray paint. Let's erase all that stuff in there. Now let's kind of create like a diagram, right? Let's use blue. Bloop, 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 bloop. The blue is for the bones. And not for the hand. I'm just gonna put the knuckles, honestly. That's like the bottom of the bone, finger bone, but yeah. Okay, now we're gonna go to red. It's gonna be for the muscles. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna. Now there's the point where, you know, we take the knobs we already have, we put it together, but now we're gonna look up the actual like anatomy from the body, and then we make the corrections. So that way we teach ourselves, you know, and this is a very effective way to practice, because then you're teaching yourself, oh, okay, this is what I typically do wrong. This is where I'm getting it wrong. And you're also double downing on everything that you got right. So it's just like, okay, if I got this right, then I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to, you know, stick with the, how do we call it? The muscle memory that I already adapted for it, right? And then you can make the correction. So something I typically always do is that when I draw the deltoid, right? You know, this pointy part, I always put it between the bicep and the tricep, right? But as you can see, I just fixed it. Why? Because I just looked up a reference. I said, let me see the actual anatomy. And I can see that the deltoid actually goes into the bicep, in between the bicep muscles. And so, you know, and then the tricep is over here and it splits from there, right? So now that's a correction that I made. So when I do draw the arm, I'm going to remember that. And now, I'm also going to use my actual body as a reference as well. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my shoulder, and I'm going to move it around. I'm going to see that, you know, yes, it does kind of tuck into, yeah, it does tuck into the bicep here. Cool. All right. And there we go. And now I've just leveled up just a little bit. But it's these tiny little level ups that allow you to get better at drawing. Okay. Okay. So, and let's look. Okay. All right. Let's continue to look at muscles that I normally don't look at, right? Because again, as I said earlier in the stream, when I do draw, I typically draw a blank outside of like what's obvious to me. So let's dive in a little deeper. So let's see, what muscles am I missing here? There's a muscle that comes out of this. Oh, we already drew that. Okay, yeah, we drew that. That's this. This muscle here. Now, let's see. Okay, yeah, and this goes on top of forearm muscle here. Maybe I just made this muscle a little too fat. Yeah, too big. Which is quite alright. And I think that's the only thing that I'm looking at reference here. Yeah, other than that, this splits into two. Okay. Now let's go ahead and draw this in a different position, right? Let's flip it. There we got the shoulder blade. Okay. I should have started with the cylinders like we did last time, but I kind of skipped that step. But just to remind you guys, cylinder, circle, and then cylinder again, and then the forearm is the same size, right? So we want to measure that. And then we're going to split this to thirds to get the hand. Now we're going to take the hand and cut it in half. Actually, this bit. Okay. If I remember correctly, I think the inside the bone doesn't protrude as much, right? It's the outside here that protrudes as much. Yeah, it should be by theory. Okay, let's go ahead and put these muscles in. Spot these muscles in. Alright, so we've got the back. Now we know the deltoid is gonna curve all the way to dig into the bicep, right? But now let me go see what happens to the other ends, right? Because it splits into 3, right? So where did the other parts go? Okay, so seems like the third part goes here. Okay, let me recolor these bones so that they're blue. Yeah, deltoid. Okay. Now triceps. Which only kind of take up part of the arm here. And there's like all this open space for the elbow. But hang on, it should be deeper than this, yeah. Okay. So the form's gonna split into these two muscle groups. So it's gonna split on the elbow like so. Now it should be something like this. Make this triangle. Half. And I want to kind of turn it here. So I go half. Then this also goes in half. Anything here? Cut it in half. Put this in half, and I can bend the fingers even more. Cut in half. Cut in half. Cut in half. Cut in half. Let's remember that there is some muscle over here. And that we can divide the flesh down here. Actually, let me make this green. Just to really remind people that the palm has this pad of fat here. And yeah, dude. We'll go ahead and erase all these extra lines. But yeah. That's the other side of the arm. Okay. Alright. So now next we pick up some references and we're just gonna draw arms. Now that we've sat down and we kind of looked at all the muscle groups and where everything is, you know, let's apply that when we draw stuff. So, let me see. I'm gonna draw a torso. Now normally you should be drawing boxes. I'm just kind of throwing it out there because my concentration is on the arm, so I'm not really thinking about it. Bones, spooky skeletons. We got the shoulder blade too. It's the closest thing we've got to wings. So I can't use the, you know, remember how I said they're the same size, right? Well, that's if we're just drawing like a regular arm. Like, that's just doing nothing. But this arm, these arms got some foreshortening. So we just have to, you know, it's a little different. You might not be able to see it right away, but these are just things to keep in mind. Okay, so what I'm thinking about right now is how the bones twist, right? When, you know, you see there's two bones. There's the bigger one, and then there's one by the pinky. But if the you know, if the hand turns around, right, these bones also turn. So according to this reference, the pinky is over here, so this bone is going over the bigger one, and then this bone where the thumb is gonna be over here. So but I don't think this bone comes under. I think it comes over. And then, okay, we got hands. Hands. I also got hands back here. Let me just turn this one up a bit. Okay. All the pieces are here. So, okay, now we draw the actual arms and all the muscles that go inside. Okay. I'm gonna start the armpit, and as I spoke about before, there's a little muscle here. As it splits. And on the deltoid over here can be seen as we take the tricep, move it up to the elbow here. So now the bicep's gonna be over here. Okay, it ends over here. And like we said before, under the elbow, the forearm muscle splits. And now we're going to add the pinky muscle here. You know, like I said, there's two muscles here on the palm. And you're making the hand, so just don't forget that. Now I have the half here. Next hand. Okay, so now I know the knuckles are over here because the hand, this position is closed. in. Now let's add that fat in between. Now we're going to draw that bone. Now there's a finger moving up here. There we go. Okay, so here we have the I guess we can call it an elbow pad. I don't even know what to call this, but you know, we know that the inside of this, there's a muscle that comes out right towards the see, we have it over here. It's out of the bicep, right? It goes here. This is gonna be the deltoid, and we got that other muscle. Kind of comes in. And we have the bicep. And we can still see the tricep under. All right. And let us just continue to draw arms until we're perfect. Okay. All right. Gotta identify these muscles. This is build the tricep. Let's build the deltoid first. Just for the record, this is the back muscle. Just wanted to make sure y'all know what that was that I drew. Another key thing to note here is that your pinky, the part of your wrist where your pinky ends is shorter, right? So not only does it protrude, but you know, this is how you would stretch it. You have a lot more space here, and so this kind of allows the pinky to, I'm sorry, I keep saying the pinky, guys. The wrist can bend a lot more easier on this side than it does on the thumb side. Biceps here. And can't forget that going into them is this muscle, right? And you know, there's that back muscle that kind of goes over in the back into the armpit. Oh, hey, Dean. How's it going? I don't know anything about drawing, but I appreciate the stream while I also do some work at my desk here. Okay, yeah, hi, welcome. Surprised to see you here, Deanie. But yeah, we're, you know, I'm just talking about science and stuff and, you know, breaking down muscles and anatomy, and we're drawing. So, you know, sometimes it's fun to know these fun little things about the body. But yeah, welcome. Glad to see you here. And, you know, appreciate you hanging out with me while you work. So yeah, arms. You know, and it's like, you know, all these muscles exist, and, you know, most people, the average person, right, if you don't work out, you just look at your arm and you don't even notice all of these like indents in here, right? They just kind of seemingly kind of meld together on your arm and they look like it's one shape. Let's see. Oh, my mother was a massage therapist and taught me a lot about how to help people with their necks and shoulders, but I couldn't name a single muscle to save my life. You know, it's so funny because that's literally when I started this whole thing, I was talking about the names. Like, I know where everything is, but I just don't know what the names of everything is, like the medical terms. But yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that. But yeah, you know, honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if experts didn't really memorize the name as well. But being a massage therapist, that's, yeah, that's very big on just knowing where everything is. Especially because, like, a lot of these names are kind of ridiculous, right? Hang on, if I can just, like, look at some stuff, right? I can't even pronounce some of this stuff. the brachialis. Yep. The medial head. Yeah, see all these medical terms. It's crazy, but you know, it seems daunting when you look at this stuff and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, man, I probably have to memorize all this stuff, but I think it's more, I think the more important knowledge is just knowing, you know, how it works, that it exists, you know? But right, yeah, names are harder to remember than things I can feel with my hands. Yep, exactly. And I think it's like a cognitive thing, you know? Which is the front part of our brain. That's where all our cognitive stuff goes towards. But anyways, yeah. Like, I'm drawing them, but I swear to you, I don't know names of all this stuff. But that means Didi knows how to do massages. I'm not a massage expert, but I know that for my family at least, my mom, and again, I never looked this stuff up, right? My service dog, Edith, is the one who mostly benefits. Aw. You know, that also reminds me, you know, speaking of dog, I have a memory of my best friend's dog, who's not around anymore, unfortunately, but as an artist, right? And it's, you know, that, you know, you're, I'm gonna draw a head or a skull, right? And there's like, you know, we've got this brain, right? And in the front of the brain is our cognitive, like that's where all our cognitive abilities come from, right? And I learned this from my art professor, but and so those of you artists listening, right, or watching, this is a very interesting thing that I've learned. And it turns out that some of us have, you know, different cognitive abilities to a point where you learn by looking, right? Here's an eyeball, but you can also learn by touching. And I remember there was a time where I wanted to draw a wolf, right? But I didn't understand canine anatomy. And I was at my best friend's place at the time. And I understood, my professor helped me understand that I actually learn better from touching. If I, you know, if I have touched something, which means that I'm actually, okay, on a tangent here, right? I'm actually better at doing sculptures, by the way. So according to like how my brain works, I'm better off making sculptured or like 3D work, because, you know, that's just kind of how I deal with the space, according to my brain. But I don't want to be a sculptor, so I'm ignoring that. Cough, cough. But if I wanted to learn how to draw things in 2D, right, I have a better chance of learning. Well, I learn better just by touching things and just understanding where they are using, like, you know, using the physical realm. Hey, Mary, welcome back to the stream on YouTube. Mary on YouTube, welcome back. How are you, Mary? I'm doing great today. Well, I had a bad weekend, but I can't really talk about that on stream. But I'm just glad that despite those events, I'm able to be here on a Wednesday and still stream some art with you guys. But yeah. But thanks for coming into the stream. How are you? It's been a while since I've seen you. And how is everything? But yes, Dina, I'm glad that makes sense to you, because that's another interesting thing that I've learned about how we learn. But that was me going off of a tangent from talking about my little story here. But yeah, so you know, so again, I'm not a massage professional, but my mom would always have me massage her feet, and then my older brother would always have me massage his back. And my older brother was very demanding because he wanted me to crack everything, and I was always so scared I'm gonna destroy his spine. But like, you know, he would always just be like, yeah, just, you know, do it as rough as you can. I don't care. Don't be gentle. I want my spine to crack. And I'm just kind of like, oh boy. And, you know, at first I was scared, but then, like, you know, I learned about the body, and I learned about how fragile our spine really are, and the permanent damage that can come from it if we're just not careful. And now I'm like terrified to work on anybody's back, because I don't want to be responsible for making somebody paralyzed, because that's one of the That's what can happen if you mess that up. You know, you hit the wrong muscle, you hit the wrong vertebrae. You know, you move it the wrong way. Terrible life-changing things can happen. So, yeah, be careful when you're massaging backs out there, people. If anything, just let a professional handle it. You're in safe hands under a professional. Spine safety is very important indeed. Yeah, yes it is. So, you know, I have often heard that other people in the medical field will tell me that, you know, they don't know how, what do you call them? I just had it in my head. Chiropractors, they don't understand, like, chiropractors have like magical hands. They don't understand how they're able to do all that work throughout their lifetime and just not paralyze anybody, you know, because it's just that, it's that crazy. But yes, but speaking of the back though, the neck is a very safe spot because over here in your neck, right, if I had to draw a neck and a head, right, it's the trapezoid, right, but it's like this big muscle that covers your back, and then you have, there's like this little diamond here where, you know, your neck muscles kind of reverse in the back. But anyways, we're gonna ignore that. We don't need to know that. But the trapezoid, right? It's a very huge muscle, and actually it covers a lot. So your spine is actually pretty safe here. And I think this one's called the sternoid. This one goes up into your ear. But when you're massaging the back of the neck, there are a lot of tissues here. So your back is pretty safe. It's a pretty safe area to massage and play around with. So don't get scared about, you know, that area of the back. I'm more talking about, like, you know, once we get to like the mid back and then the lower back, especially where the hips are. You want to be careful around that. But yes, and just to continue off of the drawing here, so I did draw a, you know, a little shape for the rib cage. And again, I'm gonna draw the bones as well, so I can landmark everything. Wait, hold on. I actually think I did this wrong here. Let me look at this reference that I have in front of me. Okay. So actually here, you want to... Okay. So it's tilted here. And then we've got the... So that, you know, usually the wide part of the bone that we usually see here, it's tilted, so this is the side of it, right? So it doesn't get that wide here. And actually we're gonna get the little bones in our forearm. And now, once again, the fatter one goes to where your thumb is. The smaller one, the one that rotates around, goes to your pinky side. And just keep in mind it is shorter as well. So then what I need to do here, right, is remember that there is perspective and apply it here. So let's see, the arm is actually, yeah, so look, I actually do this wrong, so I'm gonna erase it. The angle of this arm is it's going towards the back. So we kind of have to foreshorten it a bit. But at the end, and this is what we got to pay attention to at the end, is we have it at this angle. So now I can draw the other bone here. And then Let me actually squeeze this. Okay, so now that I've got this here, I'm going to draw a box for the hand. I'm drawing a box because it's going to help me understand the planes of the hand while we're in perspective. Okay, so now if I put an X here, I can find the middle point. Right? Now I have an idea of how long the finger should be if it was open. But I'm not going to create that because the hand is folded here. But if you wanted to do the mathematics for yourself and use create landmarks to find the position of certain body parts, that's a useful technique to use, which I often use a lot when I'm drawing from imagination. Okay, so we got the scapula. Okay, some of these body parts are easy to remember because they have such weird names. Scapula is a very weird name to me, so that's why I remember that body part. Same thing with the trapezoid. I also like to I also play around and I refer them to actual other words. So like trapezoid reminds me of trampoline. Deltoid remind me of delta. Scapula reminds me of spatula. So no, that's kind of how I tend to remember it. Feel free to, you know, steal that technique or idea if it helps you remember body parts easier. Okay. And I'm gonna look for, after this drawing, I'm gonna look for a reference that really showcases the... Actually, I think I already found it. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I just found it. Okay, yeah, so next drawing, I want to show you how we can use the pinky side of your wrist as a landmark when you're drawing arms. It's very useful. Okay, so we're gonna start with this arm over here. It's the easier arm because it's literally like just going straight. And also, you know, that's another thing I want to talk about actually. I don't know if any of you guys took, like, if you take exams or if actually this applies to anything. Now I am an anime fan. You know, an anime that implements this practice is an anime called Assassination Classroom. We recommend it. But if you know, it's a way of learning, and it just comes to how you approach things. And you know, when, you know, there are people and I am one of these offenders, where you tend to tackle the hardest thing first, and then you do the easy stuff later, right? But as it turns out, it's actually a lot better to do the easy stuff first, kind of like, you know, get your brain pumping, and then you do the you do the harder things later, right? And I agree with this when it comes to drawing, because drawing is a psychological thing. When we're drawing stuff on paper, you know, and just think about a time you had to draw something, right? And you just felt daunted when you hit certain parts that are hard to draw. So it's either one of two things. It's the artist will typically avoid it, right? Or maybe they'll tackle it and they'll do it right away and draw it first, and then, you know. And the reason why that's not so great is because, you know, a lot of this stuff is relative to each other. That's the first part. But you know, again, it's when you're drawing, it's a cognitive function. So that's like you're gonna play man, I'm so bad at sports, I can't even, like, that's like, okay, let's say you're playing basketball, right? And you haven't played at all, and then somebody tells you to make like a 3-point shot, right? Half the court. And then, like, if you know, somebody told you to do that, your first thought was like, well, let me warm up a bit, let me dribble the ball a little, let me do some regular 2-pointer shots, right? And then let me take on the 3-point shot, let me do the really difficult thing once I've like gotten the practice in, because I haven't, you know, maybe you haven't played ball in a while, right? And you know, maybe I can't think, I'm sorry guys, I'm really bad in sports, I can't think of another analogy with a sport other than basketball, but you get the idea, right? When it comes to our cognitive functions, you definitely want to put in practice first. Every professional artist will always tell you, you know, before you draw an illustration, spend like 30 minutes just drawing stuff like this, doing what I'm doing right here. Like, see how I'm drawing all these arms? You know, spend some time drawing some arms and some body parts that you struggle with. Just get the sketches out, and then we actually do like the illustration. You've warmed up. You've already, you know, you've gotten your arm into that muscle memory. You're gonna get those nice lines. You're gonna get those, you know, those good curves. You're gonna make the shapes, like, you know, very, very accurate. But that's only possible if you know, warm yourself up and just kind of like, you know, loosen up the wrist and such, right? So that's why you should tackle on the easy stuff in your illustration first, because, you know, you're basically just kind of training yourself in a way, like, you know, you're getting a little of a level up before you try the hard thing. Got go ahead and draw the biceps here, and now from this reference I can see the triceps from behind are actually there, so we can draw it into the armpit. But at this angle, we cannot see the back muscle that goes into the armpit. So the edge, so the breast would be on the edge here. Okay. I can just erase this bit. Okay. Now, you know, this goes into the neck and stuff, but now let's take on the harder arm. So the deltoid is going to go over this bone here. Well, you know, the clavicle into the socket. Now, I've already drawn the breast here, so we're going to follow it up to create the armpit. And then there's this big muscle. Right here. And as we learned earlier, the deltoid goes into the bicep here. And bicep is an easy muscle to remember because of the word bi, it means two, right? And let's remind ourselves that this is two muscles here in this muscle group. And then we're going to move to the tricep on the back. And triceps is an easy one to remember as well because it has the word tri in it, which means three. So that's something to keep in mind. There's three, separates into three muscles. And then there's the push and the pull. So your triceps are for pulling and your biceps are for pushing, if I remember correctly. So if you're ever working on the gym, just keep that in mind. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to the forearm. See, like normally when you draw a normal person's forearm, it doesn't seem that complicated, but when you actually want to pump up these muscles, and you have to know the different, you know, how they split, it's actually a little bit difficult. Especially when it comes to where the elbow is. Because we have to understand where all the muscles lie on top of the elbow. Because, you know, they're kind of, you know, they're attached to the bone, right? But there are some points in the elbow where there is no muscle attached, and you can feel it, right? When you put your elbow out, you can feel the bone on your elbow, and that's me tapping my. I don't know if you can hear on the mic. That's me tapping my elbow. So, you know, and that's one of the biggest tips I can give you when it comes to art and you're drawing human, like when you're drawing a person, use your own body as reference. Like it's such a helpful thing, but most of us don't do it. Or maybe we try and we just don't know how, right? There's that too. Which is why, you know, getting the knowledge is important. Because now you know how to use your body as a reference better. Okay, so this finger is closed here, and that's the pinky. So we're at the pinky. Just keep in mind that there's a little bit of fat under the finger here, where that's where the pinky is going to close in and rest. And that little piece of fat by your, you know, because on your palm there's muscle under your pinky, and then there's that flap, that webbing that I talked about earlier in the stream. It's under your fingers, so just don't forget that's there, especially when you're closing the fist. Because when you close your fist, that's when you really see these folds coming out from the fat and you know, the webbing that comes out of your hands. So just don't forget that's there. It's a small little piece of detail that really makes your hands look realistic when you apply them. And, you know, just understand how the brain works as well. When we're looking at things, the brain is picking up stuff that you're not even conscious of, and that's something when you draw you take advantage of. You You know, especially when it comes to colors. Oh my gosh, color science is so fun to learn. It's a lot, but you know, once you know how to control people's minds with color, you can do a lot of fun things with your drawings. uh, but yeah, I had a fun time reading books about that and learning all that good stuff. You know. And we even had like I still remember that dress internet thing where people were just like, what color is this dress? Is it blue and black, or is it yellow and white? And that's, you know, that's part of the science behind color and lighting and how we manipulate the brain. Like, you know, the whole internet went crazy over that dress thing, but you know, it just kind of proves it. All right. So after reviewing my arm here, I realized that I put this muscle, made it a little too big. There you go. Now this looks a lot better. Okay. And I'm just gonna do this. I'm not gonna make a neck, but I'm gonna remind myself that there is a back. Speaking of back, we're on this side, so we can see the back muscle that goes into the armpit here. So let's go ahead and draw that. And there you have it. I'll admit the ribcage is a little off, but you know, this is why we start off with landmarks to help us figure out how the rest of the drawing is gonna be. Kind of how like you use a landmark on a map, right? When you're traveling, to just remind yourself where you are and figure out where the next direction is. Okay, I'm gonna draw, as promised, I'm gonna draw an arm where we kind of look at some landmarks for that part of your bone that's on the peaky side. I'm gonna draw arm right here. Okay. I'm gonna draw the wide part here, but from this angle, you're gonna see that. Okay, and now hold on. I gotta use my body as a reference just to make sure this is the neutral position. Now if I twist my arm here, the thumb is gonna come this side, right? So then now, so I did this to see if the bone is twisted, and the bone is twisted. So we're going to, the thumb is on this side, so this is the fatter bone. But now the bone that is on this side is gonna twist into your pinky. Okay, just keep in mind these two bones in your forearm, they twist. When they twist, the one bone goes over the other bone. You don't feel it, of course, but that's what's happening in your forearm when you twist your hand to flip, you know, the sides that your thumb and your pinky are at. The bones actually flip with it. And let's talk about why that's useful when you draw, because right now I'm going to show you. Let's create the hand. I'm gonna draw a box. I can create a perspective here. So, you know, a box, by a box I mean a 3-dimension. I'm creating 3-dimension here. So there's a side plane and there's a front plane. Okay, so I've created it. Now there is some foreshortening here, as you can see. Okay, now let's put the muscles on top of it. And you know what? Let me go ahead and let's make this easier to see. Okay, so I'm gonna use, and again, I'm using reference, people. Okay, always use reference. We can't, you know, we don't know things out of thin air. We need to give ourselves, we gotta feed our brains the visual information at all times. So here's the bicep, and then the tricep comes under here. And now it kind of splits right here. I'm gonna draw it. You don't really see it on the reference, but it kind of splits right here. The tricep, okay? Just know that there's these 2 little parts that stretch all the way to the elbow and connect to the bone, okay? And now I'm going to darken the edge here because this is where the bone is, and then we have an edge here, right? But we understand that also comes from the bone. And now I'm actually going to draw this line here to follow that bone that goes to the wrist side here, right? I'm going to follow that bone. Okay. Now I'm going to draw the muscle over here on the forearm. Alright. Now we've got another muscle here on the other side, because as we spoke about before, it splits under the, you know, we're at the elbow part, right? This thing splits. I'm getting this edge wrong. Here we go. Okay, now we're going to draw the hand really quickly. So I drew the plane here. These are all the knuckles. The hand is closed, so we're going to see the edges from this position. I'm going to draw a pinky, and I'm not going to forget that there's some fat here, right? Remember, we talked about that earlier. So there's some fat right here between your fingers. Make sure we include that little bump there. And then also, let's remember there's some fat on the palm of the hand here. So I'm going to add that as well. Now, I'm going to add this for the arm. And I'm going to use the transform tool to resize it, because I realized I made it a little too long. But what's important to look at here is that you can't see the reference, but you see this line here from the elbow going to the pinky, and the pinky going to that bone that's on the pinky side. It's visible. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. Depending on the character's body fat percentage on their arm, there are times where you can see this line here from the elbow to the wrist, and it's seen as a landmark. When I draw my comics, this is something that I keep in mind. especially when I'm drawing the arms and I'm rotating the arms. I'm reminding myself that there's two bones in the forearm, and when you twist and turn your wrist, those bones are moving as well. Okay, now if you got them, and this kind of matters because there's like it splits the muscle up too. That's another thing. So you know, if you got someone really muscular, it's gonna split that muscle up. So like if this person is very muscular, right? Maybe we'll have like a muscle here. And then this gets bigger, that's fine, but it's gonna split here. Right? It's gonna split here. And then maybe this muscle gets bigger, but that split stays here where this bone is. Okay, so hopefully I gave you a visual, you know, hopefully this visual representation helps you understand why this is an important part to consider when you're drawing the arm. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take all that away. All right. Make a new layer and we're gonna keep drawing arms. Ooh, you know what's a challenge? Let's draw some folded arms. Let's do that. Let's fold some arms. A common thing you probably have seen before somewhere on the internet if you wanted to learn how to draw arms is you've probably seen this little diagram where it's like the keychain thing. Well, I wouldn't call it a keychain actually. It's like a disc thing. Well, it's like a chain. There you go. It's the chain diagram where you kind of create this shape where it's like, okay, we're horizontal here, but then like it flips here, right? And then we flip it again here. And it's like a chain. Then it's like a chain, right? And they wanted to look at the arm that way so you understand the planes. So yeah, that's very helpful. I'm not bringing it up to say it's bad advice. It's very helpful advice actually. I'm just bringing it up because I'm not doing it, and I don't want you to draw this the way I'm drawing it. If that's something that's helpful for you, if doing the chain thing is helpful, then you draw it the chain way instead of directly how I'm doing it with the whole bone and stuff. Okay. Something to keep in mind when you're watching artists who have been drawing for a while, that they take shortcuts. So try not to completely mimic what they do, because you may not be aware of all the shortcuts they're using to come to the conclusion of the drawing that they came to. Because that's something I used to do that a lot. I would just copy exactly how they would draw, and I just didn't get it. I'm just like, why do they always do this? Or why do they start off this way? It's so complicated. I would say things to, you know, these are things that I would say to myself, and then, you know, I came to realize that I'm just approaching this the wrong way. Especially when I started learning more, it was just way better to just create some kind of fundamental for myself, and then worry about taking these kind of shortcuts later. Because shortcuts work when you understand things better, right? Just give me. I'm just examining my reference right now. Okay. Make this smaller. I made that hand a little too big. Matter of fact, let me reference this hand to the... Yeah, okay. I actually made it just small enough. But yeah, remember, if you want to get the portions of your hand right, you can always compare it with the forearm. It should be about a third... Like, there should be like a third of your forearm off. Like, so let's say if I take whole thing and I split it into threes, right? I split this forearm into three. The hand should take up 2 out of your thirds. So this is your hand, and that's the hand open. And I mean, like, the knuckles are here and the tip of your finger is over here. Okay, if you take your own hand and you place it on your forearm, you can see that, you know, it's about 2/3 of your body. And it's very useful to understand how each body part references to each other if you want to create proper portions for your drawing. But keep in mind, if you're drawing anime, because that's, you know, I mostly draw anime on this channel, keep in mind that there's deformation. So we like to take those facts and just play around with it and break rules and, you know, make the head bigger than it's supposed to be, make the hand smaller than it's supposed to be. And that's called stylization. So keep this in mind when you're learning these things. If you want to draw, if you're trying to copy somebody's anime character, they may be using some form of, you know, deformation. So that means, you know, you can't, you know, they're not going to go by the rules, right? Because they've already broken them. And you can't really use that as a reference. This is why a lot of art teachers don't like anime, because a lot of people look at anime and they reference it as, like, you know, the end all be all true all, right? Like it's actual the correct information, but that's not the case most of the time. Most anime is drawn with deformation, which means that you're learning from something that's a bit inaccurate, unless you understand that. If you understand there's deformation and you understand where the deformation is, then that's great. But that means you have a history of learning how a lot of these things work and how a lot of these proportions are. And you know, with that understanding, you're going into this anime drawing, right, that you're copying, knowing that And it's a little fun to break down anime drawing as well when you learn this stuff, because then it's like, you know, oh, okay, this person draws the head 3 times bigger than the torso. Which, realistically, if you saw that, it's very obvious. But, you know, it's a different world to analyze things once you understand the inner workings behind it. But if, like, you know, if you like doing anime drawings, that's just a warning, basically. Like, just be careful when you're analyzing your favorite anime artist. And be careful when you are using your body as a reference without understanding or walking into a drawing with some deformation knowledge, right? Because what I just told you about the forearm and the hand is useful if you're drawing a person that is supposed to be accurate, right? Represented accurately. But if you're going to use that to check the proportion of an anime character drawn from an artist that doesn't draw hands that way, with that kind of ratio, that size ratio compared to the body, then you're always going to get it wrong. And it's not because you got the wrong information, but it's just because you don't understand how that artist took that information and, you know, did something different with it, right? Just deviated from reality, I should say. Okay. Okay, so according to my reference, even though what I drew kind of looks accurate, it seems that I wasn't able to take the perspective fully into account here. And okay, so this elbow should have been a lot lower. But, you know, that's why references are great, to teach us and to humble us. So let's go ahead. All right, so now I've drawn that there. Now I want to take the airbrush and lighten up this whole thing, and I want to draw over it again, so that way I can see where all the muscles are and how the shapes that they create when they're folded this way. my gosh, I'm about to silent my phone. I'm sorry guys, I don't know if you hear that. My phone is going crazy right now. Actually, let me silent my phone. Give me a second. I unsilenced it because I always silence it during a stream and I forget to unsilence it, so that this whole week I've been missing all my phone calls because I just forgot to unsilence my phone. But you know, I'm gonna silence it now and I'm gonna forget. So, you know, rest in peace to everybody trying to call me for the next week. Alright. Alright, so right here, pretty big. There's like it's like this little piece of muscle here. I don't want to call it fat. I don't even know what this is, but this is that muscle from earlier. Like this is this, and it's folded, and like right on top of your elbow, just has like this nice, this little circle here. Not even a circle, like a half circle, but yeah, you know, when you fold your arms, you can see them. And I have it here as well. But yeah, they really come out when you fold your arms. You know, and the pinky is over here. And like I said before, there's always, you know, you can always trace this bone to the pinky whenever you see this arm like that. And it's a landmark. So I'm going to fix this landmark to make this arm look more realistic. I'm going to do the same here. Because we know the pinky is right here inside this arm. Right? Now I can adjust the muscle here to make this a bit more realistic looking. Now you're probably thinking, why do I have a break in the line here? This is a technique that manga artists use. If you like manga, you've probably seen this before. But basically, when manga is being inked, right, we're looking at the, I think it's called the occlusion shadow. But basically, like when something has an edge, it bears a shadow, and it just depends on what's behind it or what's next to it, right? So if I put, so right here, we know that this arm is under this arm, right? So I can make this line thick to kind of show this shadow under the arm that appears, and create that contrast where you really see a difference over here. But now it gets skinnier and it breaks here, right, in this area. So what does that tell you? If this tells you this is something under it, then once a surface touches another surface, there's no darkness, right? There's no shadow, there's no black to draw. So you leave it white. You don't draw it at all, and this gives us this sense that these two areas are touching, which is, according to my reference, the case here. These two areas are touching. So we can actually lighten the line here to really sell that. So yes, you must use this technique. Technique. This is a technique. Okay, so there you go. We drew folded arm. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me take this a little further. All right, let me take this a little further. Actually, I know that this arm is gonna go into the bicep here, and this will split this muscle up, right? And then we have, coming here is the other muscle. That's right, Genie. Technique. Spin around, and you do it like this. But yeah, sorry. But back to the explanation here. Yes, let's break this down a bit, and we can, you know, earlier we learned that the deltoid, right, comes into the bicep right here. Actually, so that means I did this wrong. So let me Give me a second. Okay, we're gonna once again. That would mean that this bicep comes here, right? That would mean that this comes in here. And now I'm gonna refer to my reference just to see. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's here. This comes out like this, yeah. And then it creates the shape here. So excellent, awesome. And then we've got this muscle that comes in over here, and then this is the tricep here. And then earlier when we drew the back, we saw that the other piece kind of, you know, it's sort of in the middle of the tricep where the third muscle is. It connects here, but we cannot see that here, right? But yes, if I had to break up all the muscles that are being involved here, this is how the breakdown would look. And then we've got this one going down over here. And then this is mostly just bone, right? And we just got the skin covering that. Which is why it hurts when you elbow people, because it's straight bone and it's very hard. But yeah. I'll do the same for this arm. Which we can't really see much, but it's fine. And then, you know, I'll even draw the knuckles here. And if you want to be really, you know, you can draw the tendons that come up your knuckles when you reel back your fingers, like so. If I really wanted to add that detail, I could. But also, you know, as an artist, you understand that the more detail you put, the more ugly your drawing looks, right? So that's... Okay, so we have a folded arm. Let's go ahead and try something different. I'm going to see if I can find another common thing that we do with our arms. You can draw. Actually. Yeah, let's go ahead and draw all this. I'm gonna draw this as well. Okay. I'm gonna decrease the opacity by a lot here. I'm gonna be drawing on top of this. Okay, so I'm actually gonna draw the whatchamacallit, the ribcage, because it's involved in how the arms are being moved here. I'm going to be drawing both arms together, of course. It's a little interesting how this position is, and I think it's a nice opportunity to help you understand how the clavicle bone works among, you know, the other parts of the body. Okay. So right off the bat, I drew this box wrong. The ribcage should be a tall box, guys. Don't make a complete square. I see, look how flat this looks. I'm gonna try it again. I messed up. I defaulted into drawing like a regular square, but no, it should be like a taller rectangle. Don't make it a complete square. Wow, I said swear. Okay. Now this should look better. This should look a lot proper. See? There. Love it. Alright. So now we've got our ribcage. Now I'm gonna draw. Now we got the sternum here, right? We got the clavicle bone here, which is gonna be drawn like this. And just keep in mind the stuff curves. I'm gonna curve the other bone towards the end of the ribcage here. So yeah, just remember your clavicle bone, it curves into your ribcage. Okay, it's a curved bone. It's not straight. A lot of us draw it straight, and that's wrong. It's not straight. You can feel your own bones. Okay. Let's draw the arm. I'm going to draw the socket of our shoulder socket here, and we're going to draw the bone over it. Okay, this is raised down. Yeah, we have to keep that in mind. Okay, I'm sorry, I was thinking out loud, but let me actually describe what I was just thinking about. Okay, I'm drawing the arm, right? Now, as I said earlier, when you're gonna draw a cylinder, and these cylinders should be about the same size, right? Same size, right? But there's another way you can reference when you're drawing the arm. When you draw the arm with the body, right? When you have your rib cage, right? Your elbow should be a little like below where your rib cage ends. So if this arm was straight, the elbow should end where the rib cage, the bottom of the rib cage ends. Okay. So you can use your whole body and try it for yourself right now. You can take your elbows and squeeze it into your body, and you can see that your elbows, if you compare it where your rib cage is like, it's like right there. It's right there. So you can see it for yourself. It's true. When I drew this arm, I wanted to know, okay, so when I drew this, I said, well, how long should this be? And then I kind of drew a radius here, because your arm, there's a ball in the socket. So if your arm stays, if you put it to the neutral position and then you rotated your arm, right? Mathematically, you should be able to see a radius to kind of determine where certain points are, certain parts of your body are gonna end up. I was looking at a radius, and I wanted to compare it to the rib cage to see if I got the right length and then I remembered that the clavicle bone is raised, right? So it actually should not be the same length. This bone is raised up, is raising the shoulder is raised, therefore this should not meet the bottom of the rib cage, rather it should be above it a little, which it is. If we make a radial here, we can kind of see that, right? So this should be the approximate height or length that the bone is in. I know I said a lot just for like a small part of the drawing, but this is what I mean that by like we have to actively be thinking when we're drawing things. You know, like before I even took art seriously and I learned how to draw better, these were, you know, this is a lot of things that I've learned to think about. But before I even learned all this, it was just, I would just draw things like, oh, okay, this is this shape and this is this shape, and that was that, and I just drew it, and then we moved on with our lives. But yeah. Okay, now I'm measuring where the forearm should end. But I'm also keeping in mind that foreshortening is a thing. So in perspective, you know, there's a plane here, and there's a horizon line, and as things fall deeper into this plane, they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? They vanished into the vanish point. So I'm keeping that in mind as well as I'm drawing this arm. Technically, you know, you want the lengths to be the same, but since there's some foreshortening, it's going to be shortened to fit the perspective. Okay, now we draw a hand. And yes, you can't see me do it, but I am measuring the forearm to figure out how long these, you know, how big this hand should be. It should be around this length. Okay, now here we go. I'm gonna make a box to put it into perspective, so I can see where the side plane is, where the palm is as well. Okay, so I've got one arm. I've got like the bone structure of one arm, right? Let's draw the other arm. I'm gonna draw under this, so we can't see the deltoid. So I'm gonna put the ball sack here. But what we can see is the other arm. This arm comes up here. So again, foreshortening. This is going to be really small back here, but it's going towards us, so it gets bigger. But now that the arm is in this position, it's going to foreshorten back into the space. Foreshorten this. Okay. Get like a shape like this. All right. Okay, and this is going to be how the arm looks. So let's draw the hand actually. That's pretty important too. That's a part of the arm. And just notice how I'm keeping in mind there's some space on the pinky side of the wrist, right? I'm giving it some space there because that's gonna allow us to understand this joint better. So when it comes to the hands, just remember the wrist. The pinky side of the wrist is the more important side. Okay. Okay, now let's draw these arms. Okay, so deltoid over here, as I can see from my reference, is going to be here. And we don't really see any of the bicep because of the way the arm is twisted. Right, so if we go back to the chain, the chain will be like this, and then we'll have this. I'm drawing in red. Help you out. So we did the chain. The chain will be like this, and then will be this part of the chain. And then we're gonna open back up again over here. Wait, hold on, I even ended at the envelope. And then the chain rotates over here like that. All right, so it's a very useful technique to put things into perspective. I'm just not using it because, you know, I'm a little, yeah. Anyways, let's continue. All right, so we're gonna finish the deltoid here. Now we're looking at the under part of the arm, so we know that the bottom part of the arm has the deltoid. I mean, not deltoid, the triceps. And we know that it ends here. And we're going to actually hold on. Let me lighten this. I did it last time. I forgot to do it this time because it's gonna make it easier to view the changes. So deltoid up here, tricep down here, and of course your tricep bump kind of ends around here, and then there's two tendons that kind of stretch into the elbow here. Now, and in between this, there's another muscle that goes into your forearm, right? And then I guess this would be, if I had to make a guess, this would be where the bicep would be. And now, maybe this comes out over here. Now this is the elbow. So we know that the elbow splits the muscle, right, as it goes down into the forearm. So we're going to create this split here. And the other part of it is going to be here. And we can create this indent for the elbow as well, right? The elbow's over here. You can create that, a little diamond for the elbow. Now the pinky part of the wrist is going to be here. Now from here we can draw the fat that's on the pinky side of your hand. And now the other fat pad that's on the other side where the thumb is. And now remember, when you're creating the palm, don't forget the webbed part of the palm of your hand. Okay, so look, let's look at the square I drew earlier, right? This was me saying this is half of the hand, this is where the knuckles are, right? And we can see that I kept that in mind when I broke the line here to create the pinky. But we have to create this web on the front right here for the hands, because in the front of our hands, on the palms, our knuckles, we can't, you can look at the side of your hand and see that where your knuckles are, like the palm makes it seem like it's higher, right? Because there's webbing on your hand. So just don't forget that when you're drawing hands. This is why people think they're bad at drawing hands, because little stuff like this that they forget or they don't even realize, right? But I'm telling you, once you understand that this is how your hand is built, and you keep this in mind every time you draw hands, your hands will start looking more like hands. They'll start looking better. You know, I really believe the reason why a lot of people fail at, you know, or struggle at just drawing specific things is just because they don't know enough about it. See, so this is a very believable hand, right, that I have drawn here. I'll even draw like a little one more here to show. This is on the reference, you can't see it, but I'm just gonna draw it because it makes sense. Okay, so we got one arm, but there's an arm in front of it. So let's draw that. Ooh, baby. Alright, so taking into account of our bony elbow. Now, the elbow has this slight slant here. The part of your elbow that's going into your body is the deepest point, right? As you can see here. So it's lower, and then it gets higher as it goes to the outside of your arm. But yeah, keep that. That's something to keep in mind. Which I only lightly tap on it because I honestly, when I first learned that, I didn't remember right away. I had to just keep reminding myself. And I only kept reminding myself that when I draw from reference, by the way. Drawing from imagination, I forget it's there and I don't include it in my drawings, but when I draw from a reference, I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. The inner part of your elbow is kind of bigger, right? It goes kind of deeper. Okay. All right, now this, we're gonna draw the knuckles. And because the hand is folded this way, the knuckles is gonna be where, you know, it's the height of the position of the hand here. So we don't need to draw the fingers. We do need to draw the pinky and the fat that comes out the side of the pinky, right? So we gotta draw that as well. I'm gonna cut this here. Okay, now this looks more like, see, now you can really see this, you know, idea that there's a bone here, right? This is very bony, and then it transitions into this flesh. You know, and little things like this really sell that this is a person, right? Or like this is how the body part is. Because, you know, that's, in a nutshell, that's what art is, right? You're just creating illusions. You want people to think this is a person. IRL, maybe, probably. I mean, like, realistically, we know that's not the case, but the idea is to fool the viewer into thinking what you create is what they see. So that's why I like using the words believable, because it just really depends on how, you know, what your goal is. Okay, so we've got that muscle that goes into the armpit here. And then there's another muscle. Well, this muscle kind of splits, is what I'm trying to say. There's like two parts that go into the back into your scapula, but which I didn't draw here. I'm sorry, I didn't draw the scapula here. Well, okay, it's too late now, but I should have drawn a scapula there, is what I'm trying to say. So my apologies. Now, keeping in mind, so we have the rib cage still here, right? Keeping in mind the rib cage is still here. Let's draw the breast, but remember the rib cage is a rounded thing, right? So I'm gonna draw this gentleman's breast here, and the crease is gonna be rounded like this to really sell this perspective that he's moving his torso back. Okay, and then we've got the abdominal muscles. This is where his belly button would be. You know, and then this, you know, the abdominal muscles go all the way up to down here, but you know, we're here drawing arms, right? And then yeah, the rest of there's like these bumps that come out through the side of the rib cage and whatnot. But something to note here is that as he is stretching his body here, there's squash and stretch, okay? There's squash and stretch, so we gotta squash this part of his body as well. But let's keep the rib cage in mind when we do that. And then this side is stretching. But okay, that's a person stretching their arms. And from this position, the shoulder really went over everything. So even though I did draw the rib cage and I drew the clavicle bone, right? And we know where the neck is, right? We still drew over it. But it's still important to lay down the foundations just to be accurate and know where everything is, right? We're gonna go ahead and draw a neck here because we have the clavicle bone here, right? So we know that the neck goes up to here. And then this fist is on his face. So yeah. Let's draw the next pose that I prepared. Okay, so this one, if you wanted to draw somebody like laying on the wall, I guess. Let's see what I'm talking about. Oh wait, no, hold on. Before we move on to the next one, there was something I wanted to talk about with this drawing, okay? But I wanted to talk about how we, you know, so here's the rib cage, right? The rib cage is a fixed position, but the clavicle bone, right, raises the shoulder here. And, you know, the shoulders are very mobile. See how, like, the rest of the body follows, kind of gets arched up where the shoulder is, right? And all this flesh kind of moves. It's still bounded by the rib cage, but it's moving up towards this shoulder, right? So just remember that when you're drawing bodies, like there are parts in our bodies that are very like stagnant, and there are muscles that are bounded to it, but as we move our bodies, right, some of that stuff stretches, some of that gets elongated, some of it shortens, and all that stuff. And poses like this are a really good example of that. And it's a really tough pose to draw for people who don't understand that. Like if you are typically drawing poses that are very static, and you're not moving around much, you know, you're gonna typically keep the shoulder area very, very close to the rib cage area at all times, and then your character's just always gonna look stiff, right? But if they're moving their shoulders around, you know, you get a body that looks like this, right? Where and things stretch. So it's like, I know all this stuff is bound to the rib cage, but because this arm went up, you know, some of the stuff went up, and then we got some squash here as well. But yes, this is what I wanted to touch up on because that's what that pose was there for. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the next pose. And this one is very similar in this idea that this one's very similar in this idea that the shoulder really changed the form and is stretching the flush on the front of the body. Okay. So let's not make the same mistake and draw a square. Let's draw a rectangle. Now we have the top part of the square. Now this shoulder is going to be raised, okay? I'm drawing the clavicle here. Now we know we have a raised shoulder. Remember, they curve into the rib cage. So this, we're going to see the curve over here for this clavicle bone, but this one says this is the one in front of us. We don't really see the curve, so it looks straight. But yes. And then we got a sternum here, but you know. All right, let's draw these arms. Okay, so I'm gonna draw through the body here, but that's gonna be all we need from the bone here. Let me just adjust this a bit. Okay. All right, and now let's put the flesh on the bones here. So let's see, in this position, right? Biceps, going to be here. So we got biceps, but then remember there's a little piece over here that folds into the forearm here, right? And now I'm gonna draw the split in between this muscle because it actually matters here. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. Once again, I forgot to lighten up the whole thing. Let's lighten it and then draw over it. So we see, so you can really clearly see what is being drawn. There it is, okay. Okay, now we're going to draw the elbow. Now, we're going to put the muscle that is stretching, right? The triceps. They stretch, they have the bump here, but then they stretch into the elbow. And then this, remember, the muscle splits at the bottom of the elbow. So from this position, we're actually going to see it come over like that. All right, and this position is basically when we're folding our arms back behind us. Now let's draw the back here. I'm going to draw the deltoid again. Now, bicep. And we can't really see the elbow from here. It's okay. There's not much information on this side due to the position, but you know, we can draw the breast here. Now I'm going to draw the breast on the other side. The center is here. Just keep that in mind. And again, I'm also being cognizant of the ribcage being a very circular thing here. Okay, now there's that back muscle. And then there's all these, the ripples, right? The ripples that come out of the side to the abdominal muscle. but yes, let's draw that here. So the rib cage is here. So that means we're gonna get all these bumps from all the abdominal muscles here until we hit the edge of the rib cage. Okay, and again, there's squishiness, right? Now let's actually draw the indent of the clavicle bone here. And now if we draw the neck, we'll get the sternum here. We draw the neck of this person. Okay, and this is once again like an example of how we have the rib cage here, right? And all these body parts are still bound to it. And then there's this rising, there's this stretch rising up into the shoulder that we can see from the drawing. There we go. But what's important to note here is how I'm going to darken it here, but this part was really big, in my opinion, where this muscle here, when it folds, it's, is what is believed to be folding is this right here as it goes into this socket. But more importantly, when you're folding a shape, right, if I cut this like this, and now this forearm is under it like that, so this is what we're gonna visualize is this curve. Well, what is visualized is this curve here. So this is going to be predominant, right? And that's how we're going to create this shape to show us that this is behind it. And that's a very key thing if you're going to draw somebody with their arms crossed behind their back. All right, don't forget to hit Control Save. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's practice stream. Now typically on the last hour, if anybody in the chat wants me to draw something, there is a sketch request. So. Oh, hello. I think. Oh, I can't say it. My own chat is freaking blocking it. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you, Deanie. Was that a subscribe? I think that was a subscribe. No. It was very nice having you explain drawing stuff while I was working on my own stressful stuff. Oh well, I hope that it helped you de-stress and detox. You know, just having all this wave of information coming in, and I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Before we end, do you have a sketch request? You don't have to have one, but if you have something you want to see me draw, by all means. It was perfect. Okay, thank you so much for dropping by, Deanie. I will be hanging out. I hope to see you in Key stream later. I'm gonna hang out for her collab stream with Sasquatch. So if anything, I'll see you later. Your service dog? Yeah, absolutely. I would just need a reference picture. Okay. Yeah, if you want to drop you can drop me a DM on Discord if you want to show me a picture of Edith, and I can make a sketch. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Key? I was just talking about you. But hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm about to end stream, but what is up? How are you doing? Looking forward to your stream later. If anybody's watching the video, the recorded video, come check out Key to Life on Twitch. She's a variety game streamer. She plays a lot of, I would say, adventure games. Like, it's definitely variety, definitely a lot, but I enjoy when she plays platforming games and adventure games. And she, my favorite thing about Key stream is that, first of all, a lot of creativity. So for those of you art fans out there, you want to see some creative stuff on her channel, come check her out. But I really enjoy doing the thinking games. There's like a lot of play with words, word games, stuff that like really progs your mind. I enjoy that kind of stuff from her streams. So you're gonna see a lot of that on Key to Live stream. So come check her out on Twitch. For those of you watching on YouTube, come on Twitch and check her out. Yeah, my handle is the same on the Discord. Should be Tario. But I think you can... Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do that. Oh, there she is. Alright, now let's do... Okay. Do you want a sketch of the photo you sent me, or do you want me to use it as a reference and sketch Edith doing something else? Anything I want makes it harder. Okay, let's block out all that. Okay, and we're gonna type Sketch request. No need to apologize. It's fine. Oh, you want the babushka on? Okay. You know what? That's actually funny. What if we did like hang on. Thinking emoji right now. Thinking emoji. Yeah, no problem, Kay. I'll see you on your stream later. But yeah, go ahead and prep that up. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. That was a total big surprise for me, so I'm very happy about that. Edith. All right, let's. You know what? Looking at this picture, right? Let's draw shapes first. Shapes. You say, oh, that's key for you, dropping in and brightening days. I mean, Deanie, like, you came in, you know, way earlier, and we had a whole chat. Like, you know, I very much appreciate you showing up as well, just as much. So both of you has brightened up my day and my stream today. Actually, thanks to you guys, I was yapping on today's stream a lot. So it's a good stream when I get to yap. Yep, Deanie makes me super happy. She's my best friend. And yay, I'm glad you had fun. I will have to be sure to catch you more often. Yeah, for sure, Key. You know, if you're interested in art, I do art on Wednesday, but I play video games on Mondays. Mondays, I'm not too sure because I know you also have Monday streams as well, so that's gonna be a little tougher. But yeah, it's been a great stream. I got both the besties in my chat right now, and that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. Well, I learned a lot more about Key's best friend, so. So that was great. Now, you know what would be funny though? This. If I did. So the thing about eyes, we gotta keep in mind is that they dig into the skull. So let's create a box here. Let me make sure I'm digging into this circle that I created. And then we're gonna create a diamond here to dig into the circle. Wait, no. It's gonna be like this. Let's create its eyes. Okay, so now that we've got the eyes, we can create the snout. You know, we got her eyebrows. You know, animals do have eyebrows. They're just very hairy, like the rest of the face, but they have eyebrows. I think cat eyebrows are the funniest ones, though. It's just the way the cat eyebrows just kind of come up. Speaking of eyebrows, let's give her. How do we feel about these eyebrows? Look at her. Look at her. Oh, see, like you can see, there's like a curl in her fur here in this picture. Now I know anybody watching the stream can't see the picture, but you know. No, let's the back. And now, from what I can guess, is her paw. This is her paw here. Oh, look at her little headscarf. She looks like a beautiful doggy princess. Yes, she is. I'm not trying to gas you up or anything, but that is some amazing work. She isn't the easiest dog to draw, and you've done a fantastic job with the facial expression, even in the sketch form. Thank you so much, Deanie. I appreciate that. See, now I'm glad you took the sketch request. Well, I will admit, yeah, she is very hard to draw. uh, let's draw this nose here. This cute little nose. And I'm glad you like the expressive eyebrows here, because this was fun to do. Okay, and let's draw this. Draw this. Okay, and now there's a fold here, so we're gonna create that fold. Okay. Now what if we curve this up and gave her a smile? But let me think about this. Let me think of the physics behind this. I don't think a dog's jaws are very different from a human's, right? Yeah, so this can definitely curl up here. Let's see, you've got a really emotive sensibility that I think is probably strengthened by your practice on comics and anime, which can have some really exaggerated expressions, right? Yes, correct. It is. I believe. It's funny you say that, because all my art teachers have told me the same thing. But yeah, I think it's because of how much I indulge in anime and comics that I just have this emotive sensibility that just kind of came with it from consuming all that. Because when I did go to art school, a lot of my professors that would be one of the things that they point out about my art when I do draw it. It's just like, yeah, like, you know, it's so expressive, there's so much emotion, which I guess I have to accept. And I say that because, you know, I've just been working like this all the time. I really don't see it myself, but you know, if my professors are saying it, and there's more than one professor saying it, then I guess so. So good catch, Dini. But yeah, you are correct. That's a very good observation. And you know, and maybe it's all the Disney movies I've seen. I watch a lot of Disney stuff, so it could be that too. I love it because I love comics and anime. And her face shape is very unique for a dog. Her snout is super long and narrow, but you've really captured it. That's the thank you, first of all. But could you tell me the species, her species? Because I don't, it's not, how do I explain this? I'm just not familiar with dog species that well. Okay, and judging by the emotes, her hair gets darker back here, right? I said hair like it's an actual like human hair, but if I had to judge by her emotes. And then we're gonna I'm gonna add some texture to the sketch. I may be incapable of drawing, but I can at least learn. Yeah, of course, you can at least learn to appreciate it. These are rough-coated collie, a herding breed used for sheep mostly. Oh, okay. So rough-coated collie. So that's the breed that she is. Okay. Thank you for that. Yes, and thank you for the emotes. Yes, yes. Oh, she's even got teeth. Well, yeah, see, now that I see the tea emote, we gotta add the wine glass. Said the tea, but the wine. Gotta add the wine glass. This is a little off. But that's an advantage you get in digital art. You don't have to worry too much about your mistakes because they're very easily fixable. Okay, now I see floral patterns here. But first, let's do all the ruffles here. Oh, hang on. Wait, we're chatting. Okay. She looks perfectly sassy. Key, when we get serious about producing our musical again. Ooh, a musical. I say we hire Tario here to make the promotional material. Yeah, sure. Look at how he has captured her essence. Oh, really? Thank you so much, guys. For reference, Key and I were writing a musical featuring Edith. Before we were I can't pronounce things. Unceremoniously ousted from our home. Okay, I think that's what that means. Ah, I see. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, let me know. Let me know. That, it's, sometimes setbacks happen, but you shouldn't let that stop you from, doing things that you want to do, right? Setbacks are part of life, so that's unfortunate, but once you get serious about doing the musical again, it's something that can happen. And let me know. I definitely do not mind making some promotional material for you. Now I just gotta enhance all this floofiness as well. I can see the brown coming out here. So let's not only add the strokes for that, but let's also add that. And let's also enhance the visual by, let's add a gradient here. Well, not a gradient, but we're gonna darken this to show the whites. And now we have that contrast. Right? I never would have known you could draw her like this. New opportunities abound! With Dini's permission, can we add a dainty spoon on the floor next to her wine glass? But yeah, with Deanie's permission. If I feel upper, yeah, you know, it's a spoon. Okay, but is the spoon on the left side or is it on the right side? And where do we position the plate? This means everything. Oh yeah, Tiger feels up to it. Yeah, of course. No, it's fine. I don't want to overborder him here while he's streaming. Hey, no worries. I take on the sketch request, you know. It's only up until 8 o'clock. I don't think it's gonna take me 20 minutes to draw a spoon. But yeah, no problem. But you know, I'm pretty sure that's Deanie's consent. So let's draw a dainty spoon. So we're gonna draw it. Let me see. Actually, let's look at the photo reference. I want to see what the horizon line is. I know I might be talking crazy here, but there is a horizon line in every picture. Okay, the horizon line is up here. Okay, the horizon line is up here. Sorry, I'm just doing math. Okay. Wait. This would be here. This would be here. Okay, so this is the plane in which this spoon exists if it was going to be straight. So let's let me reposition this. Okay, so it's like around here, so I'm gonna hold my finger there, but I'm gonna Control Z everything. That should be everything. Okay. So it's like it'll be here. This eye, yeah, okay. We're gonna reposition this a bit, like so. I'm gonna create the bottom of the spoon here. Now we're going to lighten it. Okay, so we got the shape somewhat. Okay, now we just gotta make it dainty, right? Let me just check. Let me plane check here. Okay, hang on, I'm a little off here. Okay, that's better. Okay, erase that. Erase this. Oh, hi there, ENF. Welcome, hi. And thank you. Oh, hi. Hi there. Perfect muffin. Yes. Here she is. And I'm drawing her spoon. But yes, welcome, welcome. Glad to see everybody drop in for this drawing. But yes, I am doing a sketch request for Deanie. And we've got the beautiful Edith here. And now I'm being picky about her spoon. No. A rose of some sort. Yep. We can even bring it all the way here. Now we're just gonna add a little shadow to represent the deepness of this spoon. Now let's make it shiny too. Well, actually I can't do that. I don't have enough contrast to make it shiny, but I'll add a little sparkle using lines. Let's clean up this glass here. Now let's color in those eyes. Oh. And there we go. Oh man, okay, hold on, let me catch up with chat. Yes, everybody here, Dating's Food. We're all saying hi to each other. I love the eyebrows, thank you. And yes, they really enhance her sass. And let's see, she's so funny. I taught her the command soft mouth for when I want her to take something gently. And it's sort of evolved into her learning how to eat from a fork or spoon. Really? She can eat from a fork or a spoon? That's so cool. Don't forget to sign it, of course. don't have the best sign, but you know, carry over. And if I wanted to add TFL. But yeah, this is the sketch. What if we added like a little like, you know how when you set up the tableware and it's like that little napkin and it's got like the little holes at the edges? Is that what it's called? A placemat? All right. Well, I'm just glad you guys knew what it was. So, but yeah, so that's gonna be it for today's stream. This is Deanie's sketch request of her dog Edith. Oh, my handwriting's terrible. Let's do lowercase Edith. There you go. I've got to get a download of that if it's okay with you. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I could purchase a file for digital download from your Ko-fi. So I'm going to give you the download of the sketch for free. But if you want to, you can donate to my Ko-fi if you want to. But I'm definitely going to give this to you for free. Okay? But thank you for the sketch request, Deanie. Thank you for hopping in on stream, and thank you everyone else. Key, Enith. I'm gonna. This is so hard for me to pronounce, but Bebek Muffin. Okay, I did it. Yes. Okay. And thank you so much for everyone for the kind words. I'm glad everyone loves it. Actually, hold on. Let me make this look more like hair. There we go, okay. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to the stream. Let me go ahead and I think I still have the music playing. Because over here it's quiet on my side. I can't draw with music playing. But I leave the music on for everyone on the stream so that way they have something to listen to when I'm not talking. But yeah. So that's gonna be the end of the stream today. So once again, thank you so much everybody for joining on Twitch. So for anybody watching on YouTube, if you felt like today's material was very helpful, you know, leave a like button to let me know if it was helpful. And you know, share it if you feel like this is gonna be helpful to other friends who are artists and they struggle drawing arms. We drew some arms today, and then we ended it with Deanie's sketch. So it was a great stream for Wednesday. And oh my gosh, thank you so much, Deanie, for the donation. You can see it on the chat on Twitch, but you won't see it on YouTube. But yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for becoming one of my shining stars in this vast galaxy. And I hope you like the special message that you got for donating. But yeah, wow. So we're gonna go ahead and end stream here. Just a reminder, everyone. Next Monday, if you're on YouTube, follow the gaming channel if you want to come hang out with me and play video games for next Monday. And for everybody on Twitch, you get the best of both worlds. I don't have to split the channel. So I will see you on Monday. I do have a couple of things to say before I go, though. Remember, guys, I love the quote, your efforts will never betray you. When it comes to gaining a particular skill, that is for you and you alone. I do art because I want to be able to draw, and that's a skill that I've always wanted, and that's why I work so hard to get it and to achieve it. And I'm sharing all that hard work with all of you guys on stream. So just a reminder, to put effort into the skills that you really want, because they will be yours and yours alone. It's totally worth it, in my opinion. And lastly, as always, be kind to others and have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it is that you are watching. And I will see you on the next stream.